Good morning, everyone. How we all doing today out there in Final Cut TV land? Just checking on a few things, make sure everything's working properly the way it should be. And we are off and running on another Final Cut TV and coffee. Just going to check a couple of things. There we go. Yes, indeed, we are. I'm just checking the platforms. Just checking the good old platforms. Our friend over there on the X platform is the first to chime in this morning. Good morning. Good morning indeed. Good morning indeed. Let me adjust the camera height. Just going to adjust that down just a tad. Get the headroom proper. So these are what we call the dog days of summer. First off, first things first. First things first, we have to have coffee, that's for sure. Here's our friend Alista from Jamaica. How you doing? Glad you could make it again this morning. We've got about 35 people, 40 people watching live right now, which is very good, across all three platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and the good old X platform that I've been broadcasting on all those for years. Started on Facebook. The first time I did live streaming was on Facebook. That was 2016, and they broadcast you in a 720 by 720 square frame, regardless of what you fed them. I never fed them at 720 by 720, but when I used to go look at the videos or download the videos from Facebook in those days, they'd be 720 by 720 square. So let me just see this. I'm going to skip that. Skip, just checking, double checking on that. So these are what we're entering now, what we call, Daniel says, good morning from Hanoi. That's Canada, right? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I think that's Canada, our friend Daniel from Canada. We have friends all around the world, all over the world. People come and tune in on this every Saturday morning. And when WWDC, I was going to do a live stream afterwards, if there was really anything interesting to talk about. As far as Final Cut Pro and video production goes, and there wasn't. There was nothing. There's nothing really that interesting to me. I mean, I'm not a developer. I'm interested in the OS, of course, but that's not what we talk about here for the most part. Did any of you like WWDC? I didn't dislike it. It just wasn't, there was nothing really exciting to incentivize me to come and stream live. So I was ready to stream live. I had a live stream ready to go, but tell me your impression of WWDC. Nothing wrong with it. It's exactly what it's supposed to be, which is a worldwide developers conference. But it's interesting. I can see the comments on YouTube before I can see them in Ecamm. Yes. Quebec, Canada, French part of Canada, absolutely. So when I was in high school, we had a choice of 3 different foreign languages we could take: French, Spanish, or German. I just took French. I never really thought that I would ever use it. Looking back, nowadays I would take Spanish, but in those days, I just took it. I just don't know why. I said, I'm never going to be in France, or I'm probably not going to be in France. And then in the mid 80s, I indeed was in France. I was in Paris. So my band was signed to a record label in the 80s called Star Rhythm Records out of Boston, Massachusetts. And when they signed me, they also were working with Cub Coda from Brownsville Station, the guy that wrote Smoking in the Boys' Room. And what they did was they hooked us up. They hooked me and Cub up. Cub produced my first EP. So I went up to, they flew me up to Boston. They had a studio arranged. And I sat in the studio for 8 hours, mixed the EP, and we put it out. And it's Cub Coda from Brownsville Station did the mixing. He mixed it. Now, what happened was I got a call from the record company owner. His name is Dave Pierce. I don't know, a couple months later, and said, "What are you doing in January or February?" I forget which it was. January, February. It was over the winter. And I said, I don't know. I'm not really planning on doing much. He said, "You want to go to Paris with Cub? Cub's flying over there, Cub Coda." And I said, "No, I don't really want to go to Paris." This is in the mid-'80s. And he said, "Well, what else are you doing?" And I thought about it. I said, "I'm not doing anything else." So I said, "All right, we'll go." So I went to Paris with Cub Coda. But the point is that I learned French in high school, and I knew just enough French to get by when I was in Paris. I could read things, and I knew just enough French to get by. Café au lait, that's one of the things that I learned when I was in France, took French. Our friend Sean Beckner says, "Good morning. WWDC was good for the most part, but Apple still needs to do more for their pro apps and such as promoting them, like creating an IG page or something." This is my first participation under my own name. I normally participate under the name Stand, whatever that is. I can't pronounce it. I just purchased an iPad Pro M2 with 512 gigabyte due to iPad OS 26 unopened, or very cheap. I'm waiting for iPad OS 26 to come out too. They're making it more like the Mac Finder. I've never been a fan of iOS on the iPhone and iPad OS on the iPad. I've never been a fan of it. I prefer Mac OS by a large margin. So they're incorporating iPad OS more like Mac OS. That is a good thing. That is absolutely a good thing. You're going to have some of the things, it's more organized like Mac OS coming forward. So I'll be looking forward to that. I'm not a big fan of iOS. This new version of iPad OS, perhaps I will be. I have an iPad Pro. I bought it when they first came out, mainly to run LumaFusion, and secondarily so I have a bigger screen when I broadcast from NAB or the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Now, I don't foresee myself going to NAB anymore. It's really, the attendance has gone downhill, and it's not just because of COVID. People have a tendency to think it's because of COVID. It's not. Because they had 100, let me think, I think I did this. Let me go over there and check. Wait 1 second. Going to go over there and check. Where is that? Here we go. I'm going to check on something, a message that I sent somebody. Yeah, okay. NAB had 103,000 attendees in 2016. 2016. They dropped 10,000 in 2018 to 93,000 way before COVID. And then now they dropped even more to like 53,000. I think this last year was. So I think their NAB, unless they do something drastic and get more people coming around, is dropping in attendance to the point where it's not going to be that viable. I would never have upgraded my iPad 2018 to the M2 if they had not enabled background tasks. There you go. True multitasking. And I found the M processor overpowered for iPadOS version 26 changes that. Absolutely. I agree with that. Our friend Daniel, Apple team say Apple AI will be inside Apple apps, not an Apple app. What do you think, Richard, or anyone here? We've already got, I think, AI in Final Cut, right? We have, or it's machine learning / AI. The voice isolation, doesn't it do that? Doesn't the transcribe to captions, isn't that AI? Isn't that going through with AI? There's absolutely places where AI is very, very beneficial. Text-based editing. I love that in DaVinci Resolve. Now, Final Cut doesn't have it yet. Lumberjack Systems does something like that. They were the first to do it. That's a subscription, which I don't mind. But AI has its place. Let's just say that. It has its place for mundane tasks. I don't even mind AI doing something like giving you a rough cut. If you had, say, 4 or 5 or 6 clips and you wanted a rough cut and you said, give me a couple different rough cuts. And AI went ahead and put some rough cuts in. I don't think it would get it right on the first one, but maybe 2 or 3 different rough cuts. And if Final Cut Pro ever gets dual timelines, like DaVinci Resolve has now, I like the dual timelines. You can drag from one timeline to the other. You can drag this clip down here, this clip up here, make copies. Dual timelines is one of the things I'd like Final Cut Pro to get. As a matter of fact, DaVinci Resolve has dual browsers. So DaVinci Resolve has, they call it the media pool. Yeah, the media pool. And you can have one media pool open on one folder and open up a second media pool with a different folder. 2 different, it's like dual browsers in Final Cut Pro. Very, very cool. I really like that. The cost for NAB is another reason for some people. Yes, absolutely. Now, I've always been sponsored to go to NAB, and it's always been covered, so that is something else that's going on. But the less people, less important it becomes. I mean, is it still viable? 53,000 from 103,000 back in 2016, 9 years ago. 50% drop in 9 years, the last 9 years. That's a lot. So I don't know. They have to do something different for NAB to really survive. They'll have to come up with something else. One of the things they obviously, it should be broadcast, television broadcast. Nowadays it's streaming, it's this and that. Bring in some of the younger social media influencers and let them bring a different audience than what's traditionally been there. Apple has a twofold problem with AI. One, they want to ensure our privacy and thus cannot use your information across different devices. 2, to be CO2 neutral by 2030. Yeah, so the privacy is an important step, and I applaud Apple for doing that, being so strict about privacy. Absolutely, I agree with that. So it makes it more difficult, but they're going to do their own AI on device somehow. They're not sending your information to the cloud unless you give them permission. If you give them permission to use ChatGPT and send your information to the cloud, that's fine. But they're trying to get that line. They're trying to do it right. So we'll see. Let's see who's in the cat room. 2 cats, the same 2. Lucy is the left-hand cat, is the cat on the left, and Miss Amanda Jones is the cat kind of in the middle. Cat kind of in the middle. So they're having a typical cat day. They're just sitting there snoozing out. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting going forward how much Apple uses AI and how much Final Cut Pro itself uses AI. Now, without getting into specifics, from what I understand from different sources, there is going to be a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit this year. No dates have been given. Nobody's confirmed that from future media conferences. Let me get that straight right off the bat. But sources that I have says there's going to be a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit 2025. Hopefully, a couple of things. Number one, hopefully it's back at the Juniper, or it's back at a place that's like the Juniper. Juniper's works out really well for us. It's very expensive. Somebody told me the cost of one of those big stainless steel containers of coffee was hundreds of dollars, is what the hotel charges. So the last time it was fantastic. Back to the Juniper, and they had, the price was $599, I think, for the conference for the 3 days. That includes a trip to Apple campus. That includes 2 sessions with the Apple Final Cut Pro team. One's a presentation, one's a Q&A. It has sessions all day, but it also included lunch every day, so you didn't have to go anywhere. They had catered lunch every day, and it was really, really good. Unfortunately, the AI data centers increases the energy use extremely, making the 2023 goal harder to achieve if they build data centers like the competitors. Yes, I understand that's a lot of stuff, but isn't Apple like 100% green at this point? Don't they have their own solar and stuff? I thought they were like 100%. Maybe it's their stores. I don't know. Yes, that's fine. They'll figure it out. Apple's a smart company. They will figure it out. As far as Final Cut Pro goes, we don't, who in the heck knows? Who in the heck knows? The Final Cut Pro team's going to do what they want to do with Final Cut, as they always do. So the most important things for me going forward are the iPhone's coming out in September, iPhone 17. Hopefully it'll have something better in video, for video filming, than what the 16 has. I mean, I could stay with my 15 and 16. I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max and an iPhone 16 Pro Max. I could stay with both of those, but I probably won't. I probably will go with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and then I'll sell my iPhone 16 Pro Max. They do have their solar panels on the spaceship when they're not driving F1 cars on it. So I watched the WWDC. It was a normal WWDC. Nothing really stuck out for us video editors. Let me just lower this down a little bit. Nothing really stuck out for us video editors. Final Cut Pro. There was no new hardware announced. So it was it's an ordinary one. It's a worldwide developers conference. With the 2023 goal, they wanted their suppliers to be CO2 neutral as well, as most of their products are built by subcontractors like Foxhound. Okay, well, that makes sense. We'll see how that goes. I mean, that's a good goal to be striving for. Less pollution is fine. I mean, I would go solar on my house if I had a good battery backup. And it was right now, it's kind of like a scam around here. It's just they come around and want to put solar panels and you lower your electric bill. Not that much. You got to pay for the solar panels, and when you sell your house, you got to get a release from the people that own the solar panels and stuff. It's kind of weird. But if they had like I've seen somebody, it might have been Elon Musk, that has solar panels that are not panels that stick up above the roof. They are actually the roof material. Now, that would be very cool. So instead of, when it's time to get a new roof, instead of, like in my case, I think, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 years ago, I paid 15 grand for a new roof on my house. Instead of paying that 15 grand for just shingles and tar paper, there's some kind of at least I saw there was some kind of a solar roof that you put on, not panels above the roof, but actually the roof itself was solar. But on top of that, you need to be able to store electricity. You need to be able to store electricity that can hold you through a couple of days in case the sun didn't come out enough to charge or whatever. So you need that system in place too. So we'll see what happens with improvements of batteries. I'd love that. I would love to, put an expenditure out, $20,000, and have no more electric bills for the rest of your life. That would be fantastic. That would be the best. I'm looking forward to paying my house off. My mortgage is a few years out, and I'll be done. Just have to pay taxes and property taxes, insurance and stuff. That'll be I never thought I'd get to the point where I could pay a house off. I've always refinanced my house for a lower rate, for example. So as far as Final Cut Pro goes, I'm going to presume that there is going to be a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I'm pretty confident that there will be. Nobody said anything definitively one way or the other, but I'm pretty sure they'll have another one. Last year's was so successful, was very successful. And I presume if they do have a Creative Summit that they're going to time an update, a big feature update at that Creative Summit, the way they've done for the last 2 times. Tesla and other manufacturers are making solar roofs that are no more expensive than some of the more expensive roof tile options and cheaper than combining a new roof with the solar panels on top. Yeah, I don't like the solar panels on top. At least around here in Maryland, they lease you the solar panels. You don't buy them outright. And there's an issue when you go to sell your house. You got to get a release of that lease to the new buyer. It's very, very shady. And I don't think you change that much. I mean, I don't think you save that much. So I've looked into it a couple times. It's not ready. It's not ready. You got to have a backup battery. And I don't want panels above my roof. I want the roof itself to be solar. And if Tesla came out with that, that would be something I'd be interested in. Like I said, the last time I did my roof, which was probably 10 years ago, it was 15 grand, $15,000. So just say double that say 30,000, but no more electric bills. No more electric bills. That'd be great. So the more Apple can do something like that, the better. That'll be fantastic. Now, let's talk about Final Cut Pro. As iPad becomes more like a Mac, it's reasonable to assume that Final Cut Pro for iPad becomes more like the desktop version. Except, when it first came out, I would say, yeah, they're trying to emulate the desktop version. I don't see how an iPad can ever be as powerful as a MacBook Pro or a desktop Mac because the cooling structure, thicker cases and stuff, it can get close. But the thing is that if you look at iPad, Final Cut on the iPad and Final Cut Pro on the Mac, they're diverging. They're going in different directions. Do you have multicam studio on the Mac version? No, you don't. You only have it on the iPad version. Why? You mean to tell me that a Mac can't handle that? Of course a Mac can handle it. I'm doing it right now. I'm doing multicam right now. There's a camera. There's another camera. I have multiple cameras. I'm switching them live. I'm recording independent versions live. This is all done on the Macintosh. Of course, the Mac can do the same thing as the iPad version can. But they haven't given it to the Macs. They want the iPad. There's no feature parity anymore with the iPad and the Mac version. They're diverging. Two different ways of dealing with Final Cut Pro. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they said they're not going to merge the OSs, and one of the reasons is they sold twice as many iPads last quarter as Macintoshes. So the iPad market is twice as many devices as the Macintosh. Now, the Macintoshes are more expensive, etc. And let's see what this comes. So it looks like you don't own the solar panels. It is more like a subscription model, at least around here. I'm sure there's an expensive variant that you can buy them, but you're probably going to get a loan and you're probably going to have a mortgage on your solar panels. See, when I need a new roof years from now, hopefully, I'll see where the state of the solar panel roof replacement is. But I don't want panels sticking on top of my roof for a lot of reasons. Look for third-party plugins for next iPad Final Cut Pro update. Well, they don't have any third-party plugins now? I don't know. For the iPad version, they don't have any plugins. I mean, LumaFusion has plugins, proprietary plugins for LumaFusion, third-party plugins. Roger Bolton supplied some third-party plugins for LumaFusion, so we do have them on LumaFusion. Now that's what I use. My iPad, I pay once, no subscription, no monthly subscription. Although the iPad, Final Cut for iPad is the absolute one of the best, most affordable subscription models of all the subscription models out there. But I don't need it. I got Final Cut on my MacBook Pro. I got Final Cut Pro on my iMac. I mean, on my Mac Mini Pro. I don't need a third version of Final Cut. Would I try it out? At some point, I'll give it a shot. But what can I do on the iPad except for, like, I can scribble on the screen and multicam studio, but I do that with Ecamm Live. I've been doing it for years with Ecamm Live on the Macintosh. So that doesn't really do anything for me on the iPad version. I like LumaFusion a lot. Plus, I can use LumaFusion on my phone. film on my phone, edit on my phone. You don't need to import media and export media. Everything done on the phone. I like that, especially when I'm mobile. What is the target market for Final Cut on the iPad versus Final Cut on the Mac? So the target, there's a couple of issues, a couple of things with it. Number one is Final Cut on the iPad is cheaper, okay? $50, you can try it out for a year, $49, or try it out for a month or 2 months. I think they have a 30-day free trial on the iPad version and a 90-day free trial on the Mac version. The Mac version is more sophisticated and more complex and more powerful than the iPad version. But it depends on what you're doing. Are you doing social media posts? Are you posting to Instagram and stuff? The iPad version is fine. The iPad version is fine. It's cheap. $50 a year is cheap. Or $4.99 a month is cheap. If you go for the monthly option, you can cancel it. It's easy to just cancel a subscription on your phone. I just canceled Apple TV Plus. It expires in July, and I got a special. It was $3.99 a month for 3 months, so I got it for the 3 months. But I already canceled the subscription. I get to use it till the cancellation date, and at any point I can pick it back up again. There's a couple of shows that I want to see from Apple TV. Slow Horses, the 3rd season of that, or 4th season, whatever it is. I'll get Apple TV for that, but there's also a couple. I got it, this time I got it for Severance, to be honest with you. I got it for Severance, the new season of Severance. That's why I did the 3 months, but it was only $3.99 a month or $2.99 a month. I think it was $2.99 a month for 3 months. That's a good deal. But I'm not paying $10 a month and let it go month after month after month after month. No. What I'll do is I'll wait till 2 or 3 programs come on Apple TV that I want to see. Severance, Ted Lasso, Slow Horses. There's a couple of other ones that I really, really like. Silo. There's a couple of 3 or 4, and I'll wait till all those episodes are available on Apple TV. Then I'll get it for a month, watch all the episodes, and then cancel it. And it's simple to do on the iPhone. You don't have to worry about where is that subscription? I don't even know. Simple to do on the iPhone. So the target market for Final Cut Pro on the iPad, I would say it is students, social media influencers, perhaps. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody said that they're editing on the iPad on social media. I think the big influencers especially probably have big, powerful Macintoshes. Other than they might do a quick edit on a train or a plane or something. That's fine. But I can do that on my MacBook Pro too. Trackpad. I can set it up in an airplane or a train or whatever. So, though I can now use Final Cut for iPad with my M2, I will be using Final Cut for the more advanced videos and LumaFusion for my iPad. There you go. That might change when I add a new phone to my setup. So I'm always excited about the new iPhone in September. Between now and if there's going to be a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, I suspect it's going to be in November. Typically, that's when it is. For the last 3 or 4 years, it's been in November. So before Thanksgiving, in the United States, we have Thanksgiving at the 3rd or 4th week, so they won't approach that time, Thanksgiving time. Apple One, the all-in offer, it costs $50 a month in Canada, expensive. But yeah, there's nothing that I really want to get the Apple One for. Apple TV, I get every once in a while. And like I said, if they don't have a special price for it, I will get it once there's 2 or 3 episodes, seasons of something that I want to see or movies that I want to see. And I'll get it for 1 month and watch them and go from there. and go from there. So tell me, I have about half a dozen Final Cut Pro Facebook groups. I have the Final Cut, the FCP X, the Final Cut Pro thing on X, whatever it's called, something. And tell me, there's probably a dozen or more Final Cut Pro Facebook groups out there, probably 20 of them. I have about 6 or 7 myself. The most popular one is Final Cut Tips and Tricks. It's got about 14,000 people. Final Cut TV and Radio has 2,200 at this point. I have a tendency to like the smaller groups, a couple thousand people better than the ones that got way more stuff, because it's first off, they're not that active. My groups are more active than those groups are. There's more activity a lot of times. But I have about half a dozen Facebook groups for different things. I have Logic Pro 11, for example. I have my personal Facebook group is not about Final Cut Pro. It's about art and humor and a little bit about Final Cut Pro. Mostly I deal with local events. Like I posted a video of the local carnival where it turned out really, really good. It just happened to. And I'll do local events, and I'll do some animal rescue promotions on there as well. So that's not about my personal one. Richard Taylor TV is not about Final Cut Pro. A little bit of stuff sneaks in there. And I have to use that one for streaming live. So, yeah, there we go. I'm just checking on who's watching where. Yeah, as it can be expected, most of the people are watching on YouTube, and there's a lot of people watching on the X platform. I can't tell how many are watching on Facebook, because Facebook doesn't, I don't see a number here. I do not see a number here. Let me just go over here real quick. Let me go over. So in order to stream live, I have to go on my personal page, but let's see. Here we go. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So we have people watching on the Facebook page too. So I don't expect a whole lot to happen over the summer. I'd like the Final Cut Pro team to surprise us and put out a little feature update between now. If they wait and don't give us a feature update between now and the Creative Summit in November, that's a long time for a feature. You definitely should have more feature updates during the year. I would say they should have a minimum of 2 feature updates per year, but I'd like to see 3 or 4 feature updates per year, not just the Creative Summit. Don't make us wait 6 months for the Creative Summit. Give us some features now. Cat room. There we are. Good old cat room. It's a kind of a rainy day today. We're kind of getting a rainy day, so there you go. So anyway, I'm planning on broadcasting on Saturday mornings, Final Cut TV and Coffee, an occasional one during the week if something warrants it. But they're not going to be, if the Final Cut Pro team who watches these live streams, they watch the live streams. If there's nothing new going on, it's kind of hard to keep things, talk about anything new. If you don't provide anything new, I got to look around for other things to talk about. Do you use iCloud, and how much is your data plan in gigabytes or terabytes? I use the 250 plan, I think. I pay, I don't know, $4 or $5 a month. I think a 250 gigabyte plan. I think that's what I have. Clayton says Apple One bundles up to 6 Apple subscriptions for one lower monthly, including 2 terabytes of iCloud storage, Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, Apple Fitness, all for $35 a month. Well, that's pretty darn good if it includes 2 terabytes of storage. $35 a month is not bad. I don't need that much storage. I have Backblaze, which gives me unlimited storage in the cloud. There's no limit. The only limit is it works on one computer, and you have to, anything that's connected to that computer, like for right now, I have everything connected to my Mac Mini. So my Mac Mini is the base computer that my Backblaze account is hooked to. But anything I plug into the Mac Mini can get backed up. I have my 56 terabyte RAID backed up in Backblaze. 56 terabyte RAID, plus literally dozens and dozens of 8 terabyte hard drives backed up. Now, it takes a while. I mean, I would say the 56 terabyte drive took, in the background, probably took a couple of weeks to back up. But as long as you plug it in once in a while so it can update, I have the 1-year plan. As long as you plug a hard drive in within that 1-year period, it'll stay backed up. And when you plug it in and it gets backed up again, then you have another year of backing up that drive. Now, I have too many drives to keep them all plugged in, but even for 56 terabyte. Eric says he has that plan, the Apple One plan, after $40 after tax. So that's not cheap. That's $500 a year. I don't need the storage. I have my own storage. I have RAIDs. My RAID is backed up. I spent money on an LTO9 tape drive that so far I had a lot of trouble with it at first. Back and forth and back and forth. I had to ship the drive back to London because the drive was defective, brand new out of the package. Back and forth. It was very aggravating with tech support. So I think we got it stable. The good thing is they paid for shipping both ways, and it actually shipped out on a Monday and got back to me on a Friday. The drive did. So I can't say anything about the tech support, but LTO is my favorite way to do backups and most secure. I have a bunch of LTO 9 tapes, 16 gigabytes, 18 gigabytes, terabytes they hold. I have a couple of blank ones I got to get moving and pull stuff off my 56 terabyte RAID and get them backed up in LTO. But I don't just do them in LTO. I do them in LTO and individual 8 terabyte drives. Once it's on an 8 terabyte drive and it backed up in Backblaze, backed up on an 8 terabyte drive, and backed up on an LTO drive tape, only then will I erase it from my 56 terabyte RAID. I have the 2 terabyte option as backup for me and my family, and I have a European-based backups option with my 10 terabyte, my secondary backup. Very cool. Eric says $37.95, $39.98 after tax. There you go. Why are they taxing you on storage? That seems kind of odd. So you don't have iCloud storage, Richard? That's for iCloud? No, I have a small. No, I have to have. You kind of got to have iCloud storage because there's too many things, settings, passwords. But I have the lower tier. I think it's $2.99 a month, $2.99, probably 250 gigabytes. So I don't load anything up there. I don't use that for backup. That's just for password sharing, notes sharing across all my devices. I don't upload my video there. I don't upload my photos there. It's iPhone settings more than anything. Sometimes I'll share a folder there. I'll share a folder there with somebody and they can download it. I'll add them as somebody who can download it. Yes, this is my plan also with 2 terabytes since it's my only iCloud. I use it the way I pay that much. Also, collaborative option for Final Cut Pro workflow. Not enough storage though. Fitness Plus, Apple TV Plus, etc. You're right. 2 terabytes. You mean my? I don't store stuff in on iCloud. Like I said, I use Backblaze, LTO 9 tapes, 8 terabyte bare drives. And I have literally half a dozen or more SSD drives around here. So the main thing is to keep track of all those. I do that with NeoFinder. No, is it NeoFinder? No. Is that it? Yeah, NeoFinder. It's been cataloging my hard drives for 15 years since it was CD Finder. So that's how I catalog. So if I look for something, do a search, open up NeoFinder. NeoFinder will locate that file, and it'll tell me what drive it's on. So I just go in there, do that, pull the drive, hook it up, pull the LTO tape, hook it up, and it's great. And then I have Backblaze, of course. Backblaze, I think it's $100 a year for unlimited storage. Unlimited storage. The only limit is how fast your upload and download speed is. The other thing about Backblaze is they hold it for 1 year, something for 1 year. The other thing about Backblaze is if you needed to, if you had something crash and you lost like 8 terabytes of storage or 6 terabytes or whatever, they will mail you your backup on an 8 terabyte drive. I think you got to put a deposit down of $250 or $300. They'll mail you that drive with your data. Once you get your data off of that drive, if you mail a drive back and it's in good condition, you get your full deposit back. So that works really, really well. Now, I have had an issue one time where I accidentally erased one of my 2 terabyte SSDs, but I had it backed up in Backblaze. So I downloaded all the stuff back to the 2 terabyte drive that I accidentally erased from Backblaze. I had it back up there. I'm very excited for iPad, new iPad OS. I am too. I've always been a fan of Mac OS, not so much iOS or iPad OS. I prefer touch interface since they won't offer a MacBook Pro. MacBook Pro with touch, that's it. I guarantee you they have a working MacBook Pro, touch MacBook Pro in Cupertino. Guaranteed it's there. But Mac OS was never meant as a touch Mac OS. So they got to be able to do both trackpad and mouse, keyboard, trackpad and mouse, and touch. You got to do both of those before they would release a MacBook Pro that's touch. But I think they will. I know they've been working on it for years. They just haven't got it there yet. Apple Fitness Plus is a no-go here in Denmark, but not in Germany, which is weird because they only have it in English, and Danes tend to speak better English to movies not being dubbed into Danish. There you go. There you go. So let me just say the Apple Fitness Plus, they were at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal organization. They have dozens and dozens and dozens of people working on that. They have, I think, 100% robotic cameras that film that, but it's not flying robot cameras. It's actual robot cameras rolling on the ground. Actually, and they have high-end cameras mounted and stuff, and they edit in Final Cut Pro. They edit everything, media manage everything in Final Cut Pro. I did that once. I opted to keep the drive they sent. It was only like $25 over retail. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I so far I've only lost a 2 terabyte SSD. So I just took my time and down. First off, I have a catalog of the SSD in NeoFinder. Okay. So everything that was on the SSD is available in NeoFinder. Just don't update that drive. If you update the drive, it'll update to the new empty drive. So if you lose a drive, do not update in a NeoFinder because all your data is listed and it won't change unless you choose to update that drive. So if you lose a drive, don't update it in NeoFinder. So I went to NeoFinder. I saw all the stuff that was important to me on that drive, and I had that open and I had Backblaze interface open. It's a little slow and a little clunky, but you can download all your stuff. You can even download it back to that original drive. So I got everything that was important. It took me a couple of days, and it worked out fine. I think voice is the next big thing over touch. Not sure when for Mac OS. Well, you can use voice now, right? I use it all the time. I may start paying for no ads. YouTube is starting to get to me. The little bit of money I make on the ads, I understand. Matter of fact, let me pull that back up over here. I make hundreds of dollars. Do you think an input device touchscreen type would replace keyboard, mouse, trackpad, and all in one? No, I think they'll have both. So they're going to have both keyboard, trackpad, and a touch base MacBook Pro. They're going to have all three, which is part of the issue. You got to have trackpad for the MacBook Pro. You got to have a mouse. You got to have a touchscreen. It's two different things. I mean, they just had WWDC, of course. They were talking about it. So they say they have no intentions of merging the two. So there's our kitty cats. There's Miss Amanda Jones doing her little stretch yawn. They have a good life here. Our cats do. I have another cat that's outdoors. Let me pull that one up. I have another cat that's outdoors. Let me see. Where is he? This guy is, we have 3 boys outside. This guy is, That's interesting. Why isn't that? Oh, there we go. No. I'm not sure. It's so small, I can't tell. Let me see if that's... I can't tell if that's open or not. There we go. Oh, it's not coming up. It is not coming up. I can't show you the outdoor cat. Our friend... Oh, you know what? Have I lost the mouse? Speaking of trackpads, what the heck's going on here? Let me get my trackpad. My mouse is not working, which might mean it's just the battery ran out. That's odd. Let's see if I can get a trackpad working. Very strange. I can move it on a screen, but it's not letting me click. For some odd reason. Well, that's not going to work. It's weird. The mouse is not clicking, and I don't see why. I mean, I have a mouse, but it's not letting me click anything. Why is that? That's why I couldn't show you the... Let me... It's weird. The mouse is not clicking. Why is that? I have a mouse pointer, but it's not clicking. I don't know what... And let me see. Is that... And my trackpad is not clicking. I don't see any dialog windows. Let me see something here. I can tab through, but the mouse is moving, but that's why I couldn't show you. Let me see here. I'm looking for dialog windows. I don't see any. Sometimes they hide. And why is that? So I can't, when I click on something, like for example, the dock is operating like it always does, but I can't click. I can't click. That is really strange. Oh, here we go. Let me close a couple of things. Okay, I close that, I close that, close that. Now let's see if that works. Oh, I think it's working now. No, it's not. I don't know what to do. I can't click anything. All right, that's fine. Well, we can do this. We can do this. We can do that, but the mouse, and I can't get to my Bluetooth settings. So I can't put your, I cannot put your, let me try this. Let me plug the mouse directly in. If it's out of juice, but if it's out of juice, you would think it would have a pointer. Let me try, I'm going to try this. Oh, let me see if that works. Very bizarre. So I don't have the ability to click on my mouse. Right click, left click, neither one. I don't know why. I can't put your comments up because I have to click those. Command period. It's really strange. So we have to just go, we'll have to just, I can't put your comments up unless something changes. Let me, if I can get to the Bluetooth settings, I could do the, nothing on my keyboard. I mean, there's nothing there. It's, sometimes I have things pressing on my keyboard. That's not the case. So command period doesn't work. I lost the ability. I actually have the mouse. I can move it, but clicking doesn't work. So I can't go into settings. Because I can't go into settings. Let me see Finder. This is weird. Do I have the right mouse? Yeah, I have the right mouse. And like I said, I can't go into... Let me switch this. No, I can't even do that. I can't do anything without the mouse. That's weird. Well, I didn't, so I'm going to read your comments. Can I put this? See, I can't put them on screen because they're not, because I lost the ability to click. Option click? No, it's just not, the mouse is not clicking. I'm going to turn it off, turn it back on again. Okay, I turned it on and off and now it's working. I have no idea what caused that. Very, very bizarre. I turned it on and off and now it's back. So let's go back to you. Let me go back to this first. This is one of the things I wanted to show you. This is our outdoor cat, Shadow. We call him Shadow for obvious reasons. This is when I first discovered that I couldn't click. He is a beautiful, beautiful gray cat. He's a little bit skittish still, but weird. I shut the mouse off, back on, everything's working. I should have tried that from the beginning. I'm at a loss what else to try. Absolutely, let me get these comments. I've been experiencing similar issues from time to time. The last I thought it was perhaps too many apps open, but it's happened with only one app open. Command period, we tried that. Darius says, Apple is aggressively trying to force customers to use iCloud for on new Macs. They're trying to use AirDrop prompts, iCloud. Most AirDrop option will work. Very sneaky, customer unfriendly. I don't disagree with that. And I use trackpad and mouse with my M2 Ultra. Trackpad and mouse. I use the trackpad sometimes as well. It depends on what I'm doing. Like you can zoom in and out on the Macintosh, on the Final Cut Pro timeline with the trackpad, very easy. But I have keyboard shortcuts for that as well. So, does anybody have anything exciting planned for the summer? I have plenty of work to do around here, just a lot of log splitting. I mowed the grass yesterday because I saw it was going to rain this morning. Mowing the grass is the easiest chore I have. But let's see what else. Let me go back and open up. There we go. And let's go over here. And let's go over here. Facebook account. I don't want that. Why did I open that up? Let me get back over here. Top. Facebook. Here we go. And let's go over to there. Final Cut TV and radio, and we will go, that's that. Here we go. I just want to pull the YouTube channel up to make sure I monitor that as well. There we go. Not bad. All righty. Turn the volume down. Hopefully getting a second editing client. Our friend Brett Williams, Brett FX, driving back from Hilton Head right now. Plans complete. Excellent, excellent. Brett has a new plugin coming out for making CapCut style captions inside of Final Cut, along with, well, here's the deal. You use Final Cut to transcribe the captions. Then you take Caption Animator, which is our friend and Philip and Greg, who are back in Australia, and they give you the ability to take those caption files and make them shorter, and I think change the font and things. But you can also use this new Brett FX plugin as a template, and it'll make CapCut style subtitles for you. I prefer the trackpad to the mouse and would probably be using my trackpad and USB-A Apple keyboard should I decide to buy a Mac Studio M4 in the future. 16 gigabytes is sometimes too little memory. I have 56 or 48, 56 I think, on my Mac Mini Pro. I only use Magic Trackpad, and when I try to use my Magic Mouse, I'm unable to do so because I lost the habits of using a mouse. So I use both Magic Trackpad and Magic Mouse. I use the mouse most of the time. I'm used to it. It has a trackpad kind of thing on top where you can swipe left and swipe right. Does anybody have, what are your thoughts about Final Cut Pro going forward for the rest of the year? 2025. What are your thoughts on it? Anybody have any thoughts? I mean, we have a whole list of things. Text-based editing would be one of the main things that I'd like to see. We have like 45 people watching live right now, which is very, very cool. Text-based editing is one of the main things I'd like to see. That's one of the main things I would like to see going forward. I use that all the time in DaVinci Resolve. Anytime I got anything of length, I just throw it in there. I can pull clips up easy, easy, easy. Audio mixer with some AI tricks, absolutely. Audio mixer would be very cool. I agree with that. That's on my top things are text-based editing, better audio transcriptions to subtitles and stuff, and definitely want text-based editing, and then of course audio mixer. I use it in Premiere, absolutely. Premiere's had it. Resolve has had it. DaVinci Resolve is a different beast because they've had some kind of a third-party thing for years for using text-based editing. So they've all had it for 2 years, last NAB. Final Cut Pro, it's nowhere in sight, but we'll see what happens in November. I think text-based editing is probably one of their top requests at this point. I mean, I use it all the time. For long form, I don't need it for a 3-minute CapCut video or social media posts. I don't need the text-based editing for that. Although, for example, these live streams, Ecamm Live, I send this live stream to Ecamm Live servers. They distributed it out to Facebook, X, and YouTube. And they also record a copy of my video locally. So when I go to, if I said, what did I talk about in that live stream? I talked about something, I'm going to check it out. I'll throw it into DaVinci Resolve, let it do its transcribe thing, and then it'll have a text with all the transcriptions in it, and I can do searches for keywords, and that's how I go and locate different sections of the video. iPhone cinematic audio switching. That's true. Dual active timelines would be a wow. I would love that. And like I said, DaVinci Resolve has that. You can go up 2 timelines, one over the other. You can drag and drop from each one, copy from each one. You don't have to worry about, Apple is so clunky with this, backwards and forwards arrows, or you can click and hold on something and then choose in the drop down. I'd rather have tabs for the timelines, but I'd rather have dual timelines. I'd much rather have dual timelines, absolutely. One over top the other. And then DaVinci Resolve also has dual browsers. You can have 2 distinct, separate folders, keyboard collections, whatever, opened one above the other, so you can drag and drop from each one. Excellent. Excellent. I like DaVinci Resolve a lot. If I had to, I would use it. Matthew says, Jenna Ezerick, iJustine's sister on Threads, was asking how to do auto captions in Final Cut Pro. She didn't know how to do captions in Final Cut Pro. That came out, was it last year? I don't remember when it came out. I guess it was. It's not, you just right-click on a file and say transcribe to captions. It's not that difficult, and then you do it. She says her workflow now, she has to do captions, and CapCut maybe can campaign for us. The Final Cut Pro team gets their requests. They have a whole list of requests, and they prioritize it. If something gets requested over and over and over and over again, it goes higher in their hierarchy, and then they'll look and see how they can incorporate it. My videos are way too short for me to get anything from text-based editing, but I would like people who does have the need to have the option. Well, I have it in DaVinci Resolve, and it's phenomenal. I do my podcast in DaVinci Resolve now because I just transcribe the audio, and then I can search. I can do a quick edit very, very fast. But yeah, I don't use it for 2-minute video, 3-minute video. If that's the bulk of if the video itself is only like 5 minutes or less, I don't use it. But if I'm going to do a 1 or 2 minute video, but I have to deal with an hour's worth of footage, no, I will use it because I can make a rough cut very, very quickly. Do the Final Cut Pro team give you any impression they are on something new or a new direction with Final Cut? Yeah, they absolutely do. Every time we talk to them, they said, yes, they're working on stuff all the time. I mean, they're not going to join the race, the DaVinci Resolve race. They're not going to join that. They're just doing their own thing. They're acting in their own little race. But yes, I don't think we're going to see any change in the amount of things that the way Final Cut Pro updates their schedule, but we can still keep requesting certain things. Text-based editing, audio-based roles mixer are two big things. Open up dual timelines is my new thing. I'd love to have dual timelines. Open up the compound clip in the timeline instead of switching screens. Just have it drop down and open up. A better keyframe editor. There's 100 things that Final Cut Pro could use. Which things get done first? It depends on their schedule and depends on how many requests that they've had for any particular thing. Cat room. So the Final Cut Pro team, they surprise us every now and then with the features. They give us a surprise, things we didn't think about. So as well as giving us things that we request and things that are on their agenda, they've heard about a roles-based mixer for years. They've heard about text-based editing for years. They know about that. I don't think that they're finished with transcribe to captions. I think that's just a very basic version, and I think they'll be advancing that as well. Transcribe to captions or transcribe to subtitles, or transcribe captions to subtitles, or convert captions to subtitles. Something along those lines, but text-based editing has to be coming. It has to be coming. Do you think Blackmagic Design have Avid as target for Hollywood and broadcast to replace Avid as in the distant future? Yeah, I think they absolutely. I think that the Blackmagic team has Avid in their cross sites. Absolutely, I think that. And there's no reason why it couldn't be as efficient as Avid. Like I've said before, the thing about Avid, one of the things is they have hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars of infrastructure, of server rooms, storing videos and pipelines, already wired hardware. A lot of the things with Avid is, it's not just the Avid NLE versus DaVinci Resolve versus Final Cut Pro. It's all the hardware. It's all the infrastructure, hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. It's already established in Hollywood. It's already storing movies. And Blackmagic, as far as I know, can't plug into that. And of course, Final Cut can't plug into that. So that's one of the big advantages of Avid, is legacy hardware and all this hardware infrastructure that none of the other ones have. And I think it's proprietary. I don't think you're going to be able to plug into that stuff. So that's one of the main advantages of Avid. If you took all that away, which you really can't because it's integrated, if you just did the Avid NLE versus Blackmagic versus Final Cut Pro, just the NLEs, nothing else beyond the NLEs, that's a different situation than the Avid with all the hardware, with all the infrastructure. That's where Avid has a lot of its power. Final Cut Pro for everybody else. Look, Final Cut Pro has to be one of the most popular NLEs out there. 4 million at least, maybe 5 or 6 million Final Cut Pro users out there, I would say, at this point. Apple stopped giving us numbers. They gave us numbers. Here, we'll give you some numbers. Oh, we're going to take them back. Numbers? Nope. We're not going to give you numbers anymore. It's like what they did with colors. They used to have more colors in the browser. When they added colors to roles, they took the colors away from the browser and they gave us black and white and gray. It's not a zero-sum game for colors, Final Cut Pro team. You can give us more options. I mean, when I work in DaVinci Resolve, or when I work in LumaFusion, or when I work in Logic Pro, I really like the ability to lasso a bunch of clips on the timeline and change their color with a single click. And change their color. So in my timeline, the clips are organized visually. They are visually organized with colors. I know you can do it with roles. Roles are clunky in that regard. You got to do this. You got to go in and change it, blah, blah, blah. I want to just right-click on a clip and change the color of it in the timeline or in the browser. And I'm going to sort in the browser. You can sort by colors. If you have a bunch of red clips and a bunch of blue clips and a bunch of green clips, you can search on red in the browser, in the media pool. And all the clips that are color-coded red will come up. And you can search by blue, and all the clips that are color-coded blue will come up. It's a great, great way to organize things. Visual. We are visual people. We do things visually. I know all about roles, and you can change the color of roles. It's not the right way to do it. It's a very clunky way to do organization by colors. I always get a kick out of people say, oh, you can just use emojis. Really? So I can use a yellow banana, a red or a green apple, a green check mark, a red X to put in the first progression of a name of a clip in the browser to look at it and see it visually. That's because Final Cut doesn't give you the option of color coding. If it's all about color, it's not about the emojis. It's about color. It's not about a banana or an apple or a check mark or an X. It's about the color that you assigned to those emojis. That's what you visually are looking for, and how we are visual people, editors. If you made all the emojis the same shade of gray, you wouldn't have anything. It's about the color of the emoji that makes it distinguished. If you had a gray banana and a gray apple and a gray check mark and a gray X mark, that wouldn't work nearly as well. It's about the color. Our friend Brett, dupe frame detection would be color-coded as well, as in, well, every NLE, absolutely. Not just slash marks. Color code. Color. Logic has a lot better color palette than Final Cut Pro does. It is also a pro app. It's much more sophisticated. Many more choices. Still limited, but many more choices of colors. I do it all the time. I'm in Logic Pro for an hour. I'm in Logic Pro for an hour-long broadcast, and I just, okay, this is John speaking. These are all the John clips. I just select all the John clips, and with a single click, I change all of them. And then I do another one. This is Mary speaking. Select all the Mary clips, single click, change the color. And I do that all the way through, and I can instantly see visually blue, green, red, chartreuse, yellow, all the color, beautiful colors, color-coded clips. So I know, buddy. So exactly. Now, if all those hearts were the same shade of gray, you don't have anything. You don't have any distinction. I don't know why they don't add more colors, but they should. They certainly should. Here's Miss Amanda Jones jumping down. I don't know where she's going. Actually, they're both gone. Sometimes she pesters her sister, Lucy, and she chases her away, or she goes to take up her spot, and then they both leave. Now they're both gone. Oh, well. I guess that's the end of the cat room for today. So we're going to, if nothing else happens during the week, and June is not that popular a month for a update, but we had an update last year. I'm not sure what you were trying to put there, Brett, but there's nothing in your posts. You're just trying to say about the same color situation. So let's see. We have people from X, people from Facebook, and people from YouTube doing comments. All three of the comments are coming through today, which is really, really cool. So one of the things that I expect, I don't do betas as far as Mac OS and iOS. I'm in no hurry. iOS is okay. iPad OS, I'll probably wait till it comes out regular. I don't, it's only a couple months. It was a Facebook emoji. I guess it didn't show. That's weird. Huh. There you go. Yeah, it didn't show on my end. It did not show. But I don't do betas, so the only thing I'm looking forward to is the iPhone 17 Pro Max in September. Whatever they've improved video-wise on that will be fine. That'll be fine. And then the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, hopefully, in November. But I expect they will make an announcement about the Creative Summit over the summer. I think last year they did it in August. They made the official public announcement in August. I knew about it in May, but this year, well, I just don't want to say anything. I think we're going to have one. Nobody's told me anything, or nobody said you can say this and X, Y, and Z. Nobody said anything about a Creative Summit other than nothing, but I think we're going to have one. So we'll probably hear about that over the summer. When I hear something, I'll let everybody know as much as I'm allowed to. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to see a new version of Final Cut Pro, probably Final Cut Pro 11.2 or 11.3. I don't think we're going to see 12. That's too soon, but 11.2 probably, unless they do 11.2 between now and then 11.3 at the Creative Summit, which could happen. I would not be surprised to see some Final Cut Pro feature update between now and the Creative Summit. Not at all. At least a few. That would be phenomenal. Give us a few features between now and this Creative Summit, and then give us the big update at the Creative Summit. So that we'll get the news about the Creative Summit over the summer, June, July, or August. September, we got the iPhone 17 event. Hopefully there's going to be new video stuff. That's what I've heard. And then from that, once you get to that point, then you're looking forward to the Creative Summit. Time to make your phone ring again, saying you have talked too much already. Absolutely. We'll see what happens the next time. We do want to give accolades out to Apple for WWDC. Even though there wasn't any Final Cut Pro news, it's still a lot of work to do those developers conferences. I guess they're over with now. And Final Cut Pro team, keep working on. Give us some surprises. Nobody in the Final Cut Pro community minds getting surprise features. That'll be fine. So each and every one of you, I want to give you accolades as well for tuning in every week. We have like 50 people watching live right now, which is fantastic. The best. I'm going to get out of here and get on with the rest of my Saturday, and I will be back next Saturday. Don't forget to subscribe over there at YouTube if you haven't already. And our Facebook group is Final Cut Pro. It's Final Cut TV Radio. Final Cut TV Radio. And the YouTube channel, of course, is at Richard Taylor TV. All my social media is the same, at Richard Taylor TV. All of it's there. I know, buddy. I think we saw a Final Cut Pro icon. They mentioned Final Cut for iPad. They mentioned Final Cut for iPad. I don't think they mentioned Final Cut Pro, but that's okay. Sometimes we get mentions at WWDC, sometimes we don't. Just the way it is. But anyway, everybody at Apple, Final Cut Pro team, they watch this live stream. They watch it. And thanks to each and every one of you. Once again, thanks for tuning in every week. We're building an audience larger and larger on these Saturdays. Nobody else does this. I'm up to number 219. I think 219, is it? Is that what it is? Can't be. 119. Let me check. 119, not 219. 119 episodes, 3 years. I think it was in a doc, part of the new icon appearance. Gotcha. Yeah, they have some kind of new guidelines for that. Absolutely. Anyway, everybody, I'm going to get out of here and get on to doing some other things for today. I'll be back next Saturday. We'll talk more about Final Cut, post-production. Bring your questions. If you have questions about stuff, bring them in. We'll see if I can't answer them, somebody else can. All right, everyone. I'll talk to you, if not sooner, next week. Thanks for tuning in.